So it's the middle of the night, and I'm just doing one of those typical random stupid things that Everett does for some reason. And I'm trying to paint this skid plate for my motorcycle. And it's freezing cold outside, so I built a little bitty fire under here. But I figured I'd take this opportunity to tell you guys a little story about my first car. And there's some pictures of it on screen. But it was a 2003 Mitsubishi Outlander, which is a pretty neat little car. It's all-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, 130 horsepower, and it had like a little slap shift automatic transmission. That was kind of fun. And it was lifted, like it wasn't actually lifted, but it was a pretty tall car, and had really soft suspension, so it was fun to drive. And I got up to some really stupid stuff with it. But the story of that car is I really needed one. That old 78 I just showed you was the only thing I had at the time, and it needed a lot of work, like it always does. And so we started a little shopping around. My mom was helping me shop around for cars at that point, and she found this one at a dealership, and she's like, I knew I didn't want to buy a car from a dealership. You know, I'd seen my dad buy cars from dealerships and stuff, and so I really didn't want to, but she was like, well, you need a car. This one looks like a nice little car, so let's go get it. And so I had like $2,000 at that point, and so she went ahead and paid cash for it, and then I paid her off over a couple of months afterwards. And whenever I got it, I drove it to work for a little while, for like 2 weeks, I think. Maybe it was just 1 week. And then me and my brother were taking it up to our dad's, and he lives down some windy mountain roads. And well, the car slipped on some gravel going around a corner, spun around, ended up in a ditch on its side. Within a week of owning my first car I bought, it was on its side. And I think I'll show some pictures of that too, if I can find them. And yeah, so I owned that car for about 6 months, maybe less. It took me through my first job and then to my second job, my first electrician job, where it started breaking and falling apart even more. I mean, I was hard on it, but mostly like the exhaust for some reason rusted out. The dealership lied to me, and because it was a cool day, I thought that the AC worked, and he just told me that it did. It did not. So that whole summer I did not have any air conditioning, and that really sucked. I absolutely hated that car, and it was a old weird Mitsubishi, so it was like impossible to find parts for it or anything online about how to fix it. So I didn't, and it just kept falling apart and getting worse and worse. And it got to the point that it still looked nice, but I just did not trust it to do what it needed it to do anymore. So I bought my blue Nissan Pathfinder. I just bought that off Marketplace. But when I purchased it, I started driving it, and it was doing me all right. Didn't really have that many problems or anything, and nothing that I couldn't fix. And so I decided to sell my Mitsubishi. I posted it for, I think, $1,500. And obviously, if you've ever sold anything on Marketplace, you'll know I immediately started getting tons of views. So all of these views led to, several people saying, oh yeah, I'll buy it. And then they never answered again. The typical disappearing act that people love to do on Marketplace. And one person, I said, well, you can buy it, but he never responded. And then I don't even remember, because there were so many people saying they would buy it, and then so many people I kept telling, wait, there's somebody else trying to buy it. And at one point we were just sitting in the house eating dinner. It was like 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and this just F-150 pulls up into our yard, like not even in the driveway, into the side yard. I had the car in the driveway, and like beside our house where we couldn't really see them, so we kind of sneak out holding on to guns, because we don't know what's going on. And like, I mean, I'm like not racist or anything, I promise, but all these little Chinese people climb out. I think there was like 6 of them in this F-150, and I was like, oh, they gotta be looking at the car, and I just thought that was so hilarious. And they all spoke Chinese mostly, except for the guy, I guess their son or whatever, that was trying to buy it from me. And like they fixed the exhaust with some tape, and then he test drove it and everything, and they all kind of, you know, asked me about it while he was working on it. I don't know, I just thought that was a super funny story, just the most random but somehow stereotypical marketplace experience that I had. Of just there's all these people showing up. But yeah, this should keep the metal warm enough for it to dry up, and I'll finally have the video finished soon. I actually have filmed this entire process. I did not film putting a new carburetor and getting the truck drivable again. I wanted to do that, but I just didn't have time because, what do you know, my Pathfinder broke again, and I had to hurry up and get it running so I could drive it. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. I'm just working, doing stupid stuff like this to stay entertained. What I'm trying to, I've always wanted to rent equipment, and so that's what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna buy a big trailer this weekend, a big like kind of mid-sized equipment trailer, and be pulled behind a half-ton truck, and I'm going to it's $750 and it needs a little bit of work, so I'm gonna put some new tires on it, and then I'm gonna try to rent it out, you know, talk to their insurance companies, do what I need to do. The nice thing about where I live is you don't have to tag utility trailers, so it's free to own. But if I want to like rent it, I imagine I'll have to insure it and stuff, which I don't mind doing. But yeah, I really want to make a little extra money because I need it. You guys still haven't subscribed enough yet. Anyways, I'm gonna be doing this. I'll see you around.